been very clear. Without conditions, we will not negotiate. There's nothing new there. The president does not agree with this bill.
The Republican Default on America Act does nothing to resolve the default crisis and, in fact, makes it only more likely. The Default on America Act, which the House just passed, is not a step forwards, but rather a costly step backwards.
That was both White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer dismissing the House's debt ceiling bill. He even called it the wrong name. You saw that. It, of course, passed the House of Representatives on Wednesday. West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin is once again calling on President Biden to negotiate with House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Manchin released a statement yesterday saying this: "It has now been 85 days since the president sat down with the speaker. Only the president can prevent this from becoming a full-blown domestic crisis." Joining me right now is Nebraska Senator, member of the Senate Foreign and Environmental Committees. Pete Ricketts is here. Senator, it's good to see you. Thanks very much for joining me this morning.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on. A lot of news coming out of Washington this week, not only on what's going on with the debt ceiling, but also with regard to things such as the Biden administration's wanting to tax people on their mortgages, forcing people to take electric vehicles. It really is, not Joe from Scranton anymore, but Joe for socialism. Is that the administration is really trying to force their view of the country on the rest of us, especially on hardworking Americans that are going to pay the price for it.
Well, I think, you're referring to that housing rule that the president is trying to get through, and that is basically punishing people with good credit. But I want to get your take on what happens next with this debt ceiling bill. Kevin McCarthy has been pushing to have a meeting with the president to talk about some limitations in place for future spending. To talk about this bill, the president refuses. It is headed to the Senate, right? What's the timing on all of this?
Well, apparently the president has failed Civics 101 because it is the legislative branch that controls the purse strings in our government. That's the way our founders set it up. And it's the House that puts that all together. My colleagues and I, just in conference this past week, were talking about what can we do to put pressure on Schumer to be able to bring this forward, because this is part of the process that's supposed to happen. The House passes a budget. Doesn't mean that everybody has to agree what's within it, but we've got to now take that up in the Senate and get that to the president so that he can have an opportunity to weigh in. And frankly, it's just irresponsible if the president is not going to negotiate on this. This is part of the democratic process, and the president's just ignoring it. It's just really unacceptable. Well,
it sounds like the way Senator Schumer talked about it, calling it a default bill, defaulting on our debt. I mean, it sounds like he's not going to bring this to the floor, so it's pretty much dead on arrival. Is that right?
Well, I think what we need to do is continue to remind the president that this is part of his responsibility, is to work with Congress to be able to pass a budget. Look, we all know that we don't want to see a default on the debt. We also know that we got to get our spending under control. The president's budget would increase spending, would increase taxes. We've got to get that under control. I mean, just since 2019, our budget is up 54%. And our population's only up 1.8%. This is just not sustainable. And it's the Congress that is responsible for proposing a budget. Now the president has to actually come to the table and start working with us. To not do that is just really ignoring his responsibilities.
Yeah, well, look, we'll be watching this. So far, markets have not really believed that America will default. But John Lonsky, jump in here on the economic impacts of all of this.
Yeah, I'd like to point out something that's very important. Yesterday we got a report on first quarter real GDP. That grew by merely 1.1%. However, when you look closely at this report, real federal spending was up by 7.8% after growing by 5.8% the previous quarter. Government spending is on fire. Better yet, non-defense spending increased by more than 10% annualized for a second consecutive quarter. And if I go back to the pre-COVID fourth quarter of 2019, since then, over that time period, the economy has grown by only 1.6% on average, while real federal non-defense spending is growing by 5.6%. Believe me, there is plenty of room to slow government spending, plenty of room. And by doing so, I think the economy will be better off. We'll have lower bond yields and lower mortgage rates.
Yep. What about that, Senator?
Yeah, John's absolutely right. You know, when I was governor, we kept the growth of government to 2.8%. Discretionary non-defense spending is up 40% if you go back to 2019 levels. And again, this is a great opportunity. We can do a better job of running government. If this is, you know, Joe Biden's presidential campaign should be about, you know, mismanaged government, misplaced priorities, because he is doing all the wrong things to make sure that we have a stable financial economy.
Senator, before you go, real quick, Title 42 is set to expire in just a few weeks at the southern border. The U.S. is planning to open more migrant processing centers in Latin America. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas with this message to incoming migrants yesterday. Watch this.
After May 11th, our court-compelled use of Title 42 will end, and we will once again process all migrants under Title 8 of the United States Code. They will be removed most often in a matter of days and just a few weeks. Let me be clear. Our border is not open and will not be open after May 11th.
Well, he said, let me be clear, Senator. We know it's wide open. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, Secretary Mayorkas has got this finally working with folks down in Central and South America, which is part of what the President Trump did years ago. I mean, the Biden administration just threw out all the stuff that we know was working then. And his solution doesn't do anything to address the drug problem. I mean, the leading cause of death of Americans 18 to 45 in this country is fentanyl. And this doesn't do anything to say how you're going to stop all these drugs that are flowing across our border. Very
disturbing indeed. Senator, thanks very much. We'll keep following all of that. Pete Ricketts joining us this morning in New York today. Thank you, sir.
Great, thank you.